What's up, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News, the only call-in show on YouTube. Okay, it's not the only one. And of course, as always, we have our wonderful Dex screening the calls. Now, Dex,
Hey,
are you there?
hey, Adam.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
You know why I hate black holes?
No, I don't.
They suck.
Okay,
Hey,
Dex.
Adam.
Yes,
Adam.
Dex.
Adam.
Yes, Dex.
What did the dinosaur say to the meteor?
I have no idea. What did the dinosaur say to the meteor?
Comet me, bro.
We'll be right back. These banters are getting far worse. Remember, folks, this is a live show. Anything can happen. Make sure to call in at 224400
Allow myself to reintroduce myself.
And I am Adam, aka Marf, and this, of course, is Marfoogle News. If you've never been here before, this is a live call-in show, and we will be going over all of today's hottest news. Today, I wanted to focus on space because there's a lot of things that have just recently happened. I also want to point out a story which I think might just be related to the planetary catastrophe that the Russian Navy's soldiers, special soldiers, might have saved us from. And just some weird stuff about that. So I'll go over that here in a minute. As far as a lot of people have been talking over the last couple years about black holes, about asteroids, we have been saying here that obviously something is going on that they're not telling us because, you know, they're doing missions to the moon, to Mars, all of these things. They have several satellites that they are doing missions to try to throw asteroids off of track. And they keep coming out with more news regarding that. So obviously it is a big priority. Now, I also told you some of the information you did not hear anywhere else is that all of the branches are putting off a side chunk of money for something space related. Now, that's actually something that, you know, I have not heard on any mainstream coverage yet. And I promise you it will be. And when it does, I'm going to be the first one to say, we said that 4 or 5 months ago. Now, Dex, I want to just do a quick sound check to make sure you sound good and everything else. Dex will be screening calls tonight.
Hi, Adam. I'm here. Hello, Foogle Fam.
Okay, and if you have any feedback about sound as well, we have had a lot of different sound issues. We are constantly trying to improve. Now, some of the callers have said that my volume was quiet, so we did another thing here in the studio to actually fix that. So we actually have a lavalier mic connected to this mic just for the phone callers. So you guys will be able to hear me just as clear as, say, the audience will. We have also been having an issue with the sound not matching up. And it's just really weird because that's never happened before like, you know, the last couple days. So it's happened like once in like a blue moon, but it didn't have a reason. So lots of odd things going on. As far as, you know, we do not cover normal news here every single day. I mean, we cover the big stuff, but we also cover some pretty weird stuff. And we cover some pretty controversial stuff. So we always try to kind of use code words and try to get around some of the algorithms. And we try to make sure that we are, you know, being as safe as possible as far as using some of the keywords. Either way, I think something is really going on. And I think we have touched on some stuff that they did not want us to. And I'll explain that later as well. As far as Planet 9, we've talked about it on this show a ton, especially when we have people like Planet X News call in, or WSO, or any of these other folks that, you know, Naughty Beaver has kind of done it back and forth, and we've had a lot of conversations about it. And it's kind of like, I don't know what to relate it to. It's kind of like it's kind of like ghosts. A lot of people believe in it, but not everybody talks about it publicly. I guess that's one way to put it. Planet 9 is actually very reasonable to believe in, as far as knowing that there might be a different planet on a different trajectory. If you do believe the general idea of space in the first place, then it doesn't really, it doesn't strike me as that crazy to have something in a orbit that comes around every 5,000 years or whatever. But apparently they might have evidence that it's not actually a planet at all. And I think that would explain some of the weird things that are going on, like scientists looking up in the sky and seeing random things being pulled towards something they can't see. It does make sense, because obviously, mainstream news has actually covered that they're seeing things all getting pulled towards something, like something with a massive gravity is pulling it in. A black hole is actually one of the many, and actually it's probably on less than 2 hands of the ways that they have predicted our planet could end. A black hole or a supernova that swallows up the whole universe and then boom, we're gone. Or CERN actually creates a black hole and it sucks us all into itself. These are real things. Like that's a real concern, apparently. And then, of course, there are all the other things that we talk about here. I think that there's got to be something that connects all this, and that's why I'm asking you guys to call in if you know any information on this. Try to bring an article with you. Once you have an article, you can give it to Dex, and then Dex actually has a live connection with me, and he can load it up on the screen at the same time, so I can actually show you what the callers are bringing to the table live as we talk about it. If you've watched this show for any amount of time, we actually cover a whole lot in a very short period of time. It may seem long to some, being a 2-hour show or longer, but I will tell you this: we have covered so much news in just the last year. It's insane. So let's get to the news. Let's get through this, and then we'll get to the calls. I think that we absolutely have a really great subject tonight, and it's pretty scary when you think about it. So let's get into this. This is something that I have talked about for now close to a year. You look back at my older videos, I've talked about this since I was tiny. And that's because I was fascinated by the HAMMER project, the Hypervelocity Asteroid Mitigation and Emergency Response Vehicle. It was basically a nuke strapped onto a rocket that they were going to, say, launch at an asteroid, try to blow it up, like straight out of the plot of Armageddon. But on the other hand, other scientists have said, well, if you do that, that could break up a 500-foot, asteroid into 20, 30-foot asteroids and hit, 50 different areas instead of hitting one. So is it necessarily better to do that or, something else? So they've been coming up with new ways to knock asteroids off course, and I don't think that they're going to tell us the truth. I honestly think they are hiding something, or they have discovered something. I've said many times in previous shows that the Sunspot Observatory getting shut down was a very weird thing. We even had somebody who lived right next to and in that little area of Sunspot, and they said the whole thing was fishy. If it really was a child, pedo thing where they took the computers, I will tell you this: FBI spent less time at Epstein's house than they did at Sunspot. Not only that, when people like DeFango went there, he was one of the few people that actually traveled there, went to the grounds, along with some other YouTuber, I can't remember the other one. They went to the grounds and nobody was there. It was like a ghost town. It's almost like they didn't just shut the place down. They took the people with that were in that little neighborhood. Like, they brought them all in for questioning. They said they were looking for somebody, so that's why they said they evacuated. Have you ever seen a SWAT team come into a potential pedo, somebody with, child stuff on their computer? Have you ever seen them take out the entire neighborhood around them? It's just, it doesn't make sense. When have you ever seen a headline, with a guy coming out in handcuffs? They say that they seized the computer. This has happened a bunch too, right? We've seen this in news all over the place. The guy gets caught with stuff on his computer and they seize the guy, they seize the computer, they seize all this stuff. But when do they ever evacuate a 4-block radius around the guy? They don't. And they said it was some sort of ring, this and that. Sunspot Observatory, I think, saw something that they were not supposed to. And I think that the people in that close by region, I think they pulled them in to make sure that no one knew about it. And we're going to get to this later. There have been several suicides in the military, and it's a lot of them in the Navy. And there's just some really weird things going on in general. So we're going to try to connect as much as this. And there's something to be said about, you don't want to connect things that are completely unconnected. But at the same time, there's some really weird things here that I'm saying, like, what's up with this? So it says it's a ready-made sci-fi trope. Authorities discover an asteroid racing towards the Earth on track to wipe out everything we hold dear, plus us. In the midst of a panic, an unusually attractive, resolute nobody grabs the public's attention. I have an idea so crazy, it might just work. We can fire a rocket at the Demon Rock and maybe, just maybe, knock it off course and save the Earth. Cue the popcorn and 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. But maybe the hero's crazy idea could work. Of course, you wouldn't want to wait until it has to work to find out. So that's exactly what an international group of 130 scientists is tasked with developing our planetary defenses have resolved to do. They're making plans to fire a spacecraft at a distant object to see if the kinetic impact can change its trajectory. Why are they doing that? Obviously, people have heard the fact that at some point this will happen. It's a matter of time if you believe the generic science that's out there, if you believe in that. And I'm not saying I don't. I do, but everyone is welcome to their opinions here. I don't believe anything NASA says, and that's why I ask these questions. ESA is just as bad. Us Americans are not familiar with the ESA, but they have done just as much, in my opinion, to make people totally, confused about half of the stuff that's going on above our heads. Then again, some folks think that we are in a giant planetarium. And there's a lot of stuff that actually kind of says, in my mind, I think it's almost a mixture of both. Like, this is kind of like a Truman Show. Who knows? It says the IDA project is a collaboration between NASA and ESA. And we've covered this since the beginning or the birth of this program. They are teaming up with others now. At first, it was just them. And it's crazy because a year and before the collaboration, I told you guys what we had. I had a source that says that there is something so big coming. And I said, is this the end? And they said, no, but it's big enough and it's serious enough that all the countries are getting together about it. And I've always had a theory that it's about something in space. I really, truly believe that they have spotted something, and maybe it's 20 years out, maybe it's 40 years out. It's one of those things like, what if it's in 2100? Most of us will be dead. Would we care? But, I know my daughter, she's 13, or my 4-year-old, say my newborn in 2100 will actually be, what is that? She'll still be alive. Hopefully she'll be alive at 80. But we don't think about the next generations of people. We only think about ourselves, and I think that's pretty selfish. But what if we found out that something was hitting in, say, 10 years? That would be crazy. It says ADA is short for Asteroid Impact and Deflection Assessment. In September, participants met to hash out the details in Rome. That's kind of weird that they met in Rome in the first place. Like, they didn't build Rome in a day, but Rome fell. ESA's Ian Carnelli explains why. Today, we are the first humans in history to have the technology to potentially deflect an asteroid from impacting the Earth. The key question remains to be answered is, are the technologies and models that we have good enough to actually work? Before you drive a car, you need to have insurance policy. Well, ADA is the insurance policy for planet Earth. The project actually involves 2 phases. The DART spacecraft will crash into an asteroid, and then the Hera will follow a few years later to assess the results. So again, they have to catch this way, way far ahead. If this is the plan, if this is the insurance policy, we're effed. Because if you think about the ones that they have not seen, like the one that they said was not going to land and ended up smacking down right next to Jamaica, the one that essentially hit after they found it about 4 hours before it hit. Just the other day, we had one swing by that was a NEO or near-Earth object that essentially passed by, and we had only a couple hours of notice. So they don't see everything that's coming our way. There's no possible way that they could do that if it works how it does. So people are very confident that they're going to protect us, and that's just not the fact. I mean, the fact is, we're little ants on this earth compared to, the big picture of things. We are very big-headed. We think that, we matter more than everything else. Really, we are just kind of, riding on this thing no matter what shape it is. It says NASA is in charge of DART, Double Asteroid Redirection Test. In July 2021, the DART satellite, a half-ton chunk of metal, will be launched toward a known asteroid, 65803 Didymos. And remember, we covered Didymos. Didymos is, I believe, 2. Yes, it says, which is actually a binary object comprised of its main, larger 780-meter body and a smaller 160-meter moonlet, aka Diddy Moon. Not to be confused with Ice Cube Moon. I know those look alike. That orbits it. It's Diddy Moon that's DART's target. So up until recently, we did not know that we didn't even. I just heard about Didymos. I guess there's so many asteroids that we kind of hear about all these all the time, every day. But as far as Didymos, it was the pair, the binary pair, and then all of a sudden, that's the one we're going to go to. 780 meters is over 2,000 feet wide. That thing would be a planet killer. That would be, we're gone. I believe that would be big enough to destroy us. It says Didymos is not on a path to collide with Earth, says Nancy Shabbat, director of the mission, and therefore poses no current threat to the planet. But its binary natures enables DART's kinetic impactor demonstration. It presents an opportunity to test DART and measure its effect in a controlled way, since it will hit a satellite already in orbit around another object. In addition, Diddy Moon will be visible from the ground telescopes as it passes in front and behind the larger body. It makes you almost think, like, what if they screwed up and hit this thing towards us, or swung it into its own little, sling, and then slung it right towards Earth? The vehicle carrying DART will utilize 2 new acronymed technology. One is Solar Electric Propulsion System, first deployed during the decade-old Dawn mission to study protoplanets, Vesta and Ceres. This system is called Next-C, or NASA Evolutionary Z9 Thruster Commercial. The other innovation is a new spacecraft guidance algorithm called SmartNav. Like, that was super small. And that actually stands for Small Body Maneuvering Autonomous Real-Time Navigation. Hitting such a distant target is no small matter, says Shabbat. One of DART's main challenges is to reliably target and squarely impact the small moonlet, 6.8 million miles away from Earth. So this is actually happening relatively soon. Time flies, and it says after a 16-month journey in September of 2022, just before hitting Diddy Moon, DART will release a small camera-bearing CubeSat from Italy, the Lycia Cube, which will capture images of the 14,700 mile per hour collision. It says just a slight alteration of the moonlet's path, even a fraction of a degree, will be enough to verify DART's success. Man. It makes you think, though, like, you know, that kind of thing, who knows? And I like how they say we have, you know, it's crazy. We have the technology to throw it off, but they absolutely don't know if it works, or they can't confirm it yet. So I don't know why they say they have it. Potentially. Planet 9 could be an ancient black hole orbiting the sun. Now, this is a weird one. It says in 2016 suggested that the bizarre orbits of 6 objects in solar system's Kuiper belt could be influenced by the gravity of a mysterious distant planet that scientists had never seen. A new study suggests that this mysterious planet 9, which seems to lurk at the edge of our solar system, could be a primordial black hole from the birth of the universe. The black hole could have roughly 10 times Earth's mass and be the size of a bowling ball. It says at the edge of our solar system, some unknown object is manipulating the paths of chunks of ice as they circle the sun. These objects' oval-shaped orbits all point in the same direction and tilt the same way, suggesting that an unseen force is hurting them. At first, scientists thought that the culprit was a mysterious planet, which they dubbed Planet 9, though some call it Planet X. But a new paper suggests that the gravitational pull could come from a primordial black hole, a type of small black hole that scientists have theorized formed during the Big Bang. It really is crazy to think of that they say a bowling ball size object, basically the size of that clock back there, could suck in whole planets and all this kind of crazy stuff. And if that was a fact, right? So if that's true, if we have a bowling ball that can suck in an entire planet, and people believe this, right? And I'm not saying, by the way, I'm saying it's kind of ironic that people that completely believe in science like this do not believe in something else as far as a god or miracles or this or that. So you believe an entire planet Earth could be sucked into a little hole like this, the size of a bread box or a bowling ball, but, you know, some of these other things are just so wacky. It just seems to me that it's crazy, the things that we do accept as fact because someone smart told us to, you know, smart told us, and the things that we think are crazy. You know, our friends think we're nuts. Our family think we're nuts. You know, if you're here because your family persecutes you for, you know, going and thinking outside the box and looking up at the sky at the stuff they're spraying and going, that's not right, then, you know, you've been told all these things are, you know, in your head, or, you know, they think you're crazy, or they won't say it to your face, but, you know, behind your back, they're talking crap. But those same people will most likely believe in something like a black Earth the size of a bowling ball. And I'm not saying I don't believe. I believe in a lot of things. In fact, I think nothing surprises me at this point because of what I know, and what I've known has been confirmed by military. I think of other things, you know, being possible. It really, you know, in my mind, it could be a black hole the size of a bowling ball. It's just weird, the perception that people have on things that are weird or taboo or, you know, not right. Anyways, it says, although the existence of primordial black holes has not been confirmed, some scientists think that the universe is teeming with them. If they exist, such black holes could make up 80% of the universe that scientists can see. It says, or can't see. They know this dark matter exists because its gravity pulls on things throughout the universe. A new paper posted Tuesday on RXIV, an online repository for research that has not been peer-reviewed, suggests that Planet 9 could be one of these ancient black holes, roughly 10 times Earth mass and the size of a bowling ball. It says, once you start thinking about more exotic objects like primordial black holes, you think in different ways. It says, James Irwin, a theoretical scientist and co-author of the paper, told Gizmodo, we advocate that rather than just looking for an invisible light, maybe look for Planet 9 in gamma rays or cosmic rays. What do you think about this, Dex? I would love to hear your opinion on Planet 9, Planet X. I don't think we've even ever talked about it personally.
Well, this theory of a black hole is certainly interesting. The thing that's always surprised me about a black hole is that it's sucking in all of this matter, and matter actually, I guess, based on all the theories that we're told to believe, or we've, I guess, learned in school, matter doesn't really go anywhere. So
it doesn't matter.
If it goes in, doesn't matter. But if it goes into this tiny black hole, is it really destroying matter, or is it just going someplace else? Right? It's really fascinating. I mean, we're never going to know. Not in our lifetime. Not in probably a few generations' lifetime are we going to understand that. But
Dex, if people think that, it would have to be a portal. It would have to be going somewhere else, right? People don't believe the craziest, simplest things on Earth, right? The abilities of some animals and things like this. People don't believe it. There's so many urban myths and legends that are so much less crazy than a bowling ball size object sucking in an entire planet. And what does it do? Does it eat it, digest it, and, fart out stars? Like, no. It sounds crazy, right?
It does. But what's the opposite, right? Like, what's the opposite of a black hole? And does something out there exist? Is there something out there that's just creating matter and everything's just coming from it? I mean,
well, they say,
according to the theories of the Big Bang Theory, that everything started from that. But still, something's taking it away, but what's putting it back?
Rebel Snarfle says, matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Well, that would mean that the black holes are sucking in this stuff and then putting it somewhere else, right?
Right.
If it's not being destroyed.
What I'm saying. Where's the opposite of the black hole, right?
Well, they also have a theory that the universe is expanding and that slowly everything's moving apart from each other, and that eventually that would come to our end because we would move, isn't it? We would move too far from the sun. Is that why we are possibly going to Mars?
Well, I don't know if that, if the universe is expanding, we're just a part of the universe, and our solar system is just a part of the galaxy, and the galaxy is just a part of the universe. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're moving away from the sun, which I think mathematically, according to the orbits, we probably are, but I don't think that's the same thing as the expansion. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not in that field. Never a physicist.
It's all super, super weird. Well, just the whole thing is just very confusing. Solar storm warning. Cataclysmic storms are inevitable. Expect tech and power blackouts. So this, I can already tell you, is happening. We just covered it last week that there's all these blackouts, there's all these power outages, and nobody's covering it. And they're not reporting everything that happens, especially the Department of Energy. It says our sun routinely spews violent clouds of gas hurtling through space at unimaginable speeds. Such coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, occur when the sun's magnetic field becomes tangled, and in righting itself, swarms of charged particles called superheated plasma are released. And if fired at just the right angle towards Earth, these plasma clouds can wreak unimaginable havoc on our electrical grids, technology, and infrastructure. So it says, such a disaster-inducing solar storm has now been labeled an inevitability. So this is something that, in their eyes, is going to happen 100%. With such terrifying consequences for all of us on Earth, a report has warned. Now it says, and by the way, we're going through all sorts of stuff. We just had a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, we had the Northern Lights over Washington. Like, that's crazy far south to have the Aurora Borealis. And then again, we had it. So there's these magnetic, these solar flares just hitting us and all this crazy magnetic action going on. It says the U.S. Geological Survey, or the USGS, has published a report in the scientific journal Space Weather examining an event as known as the 1921 New York Railroad Storm. This was a violent geomagnetic storm that single-handedly put swaths of the northeastern United States into a blackout. Again, this is in 1921. And worryingly, USGS researchers admit that these alarming effects could be repeated at almost any moment. So this is something that's going to happen. We're going to see it in our lifetimes. That's a firm thought on my mind, at least a smaller event. Solar storm warning. Now it says there is no way of predicting when the next so-called Carrington event will occur. This is because historical measurement and prediction technologies are no guarantee of predicting when the next so-called Carrington event will occur. All that can be said with confidence is that Earth will likely get hit with another massive solar geomagnetic superstorm within the next century. The researchers wrote in the report, the severe space weather event of 13/16 May 1921 produced some spectacular technological impacts, in some cases causing destructive fires. It was characterized by extreme solar and geomagnetic variations and spectacular auroras recorded at many locations around the world. A wealth of information is available in scientific journals, newspapers, and other sources, enabling us to reconstruct the storm timelines. It says this shows a series of major CMEs bombarded the Earth in May 1921. The first pair may have prepared the way for the latter intense activity, clearing density from the region between the Sun and Earth, energizing Earth's magnetosphere. Thus, a subsequent CME could travel more quickly and drive even more energy into the already active magnetosphere. And remember, something is going on. So, Dex, now, do some believe that our pole flipping will affect all of this? Because we have our pole moving and it's speeding up like crazy, and nobody knows exactly why, right?
Yeah, the magnetic shift in the magnetic pole. Yeah, there's some thoughts around how, I guess, that shift could affect this. But the thing about the solar storm is, I guess, when it hits, it does have an effect, and we see it in the northern lights, right? We see the how it bounces off of the magnetic pole, or the magnetic ionosphere that's up there. So, having that shift, I guess, would have an effect on where those lights appear and how they may move around when that happens. That certainly would be one of the things you would expect to see if that pole flips or shifts or moves dramatically one direction or another.
So with all of this is just something that they expect, and they're trying to harden the grid. Obviously, we talk about it a lot. It says a Harvard professor famed for his Oumuamua extrasolar asteroid theory has now proposed an innovative $100 billion solution ahead of the next hit. Professor Loeb told Express a Carrington-type event would cost roughly $2 to $3 trillion in terms of infrastructure damage. The famed professor believes the most innovative mitigation would be to deflect this blob of energetic particles away from the Earth. So we're talking about deflecting all sorts of different stuff. It says solar storm warning. He added, we would create a current loop that would produce a magnetic field by deflecting charged particles. That's kind of what our natural system does. And one thing I want to point out is that Elon Musk and others are creating this exoskeleton around Earth. I think that they are trying to create a stronger geomagnetic force. I think they might even be trying to create something like an artificial magnetic field. If we didn't have the magnetic field to protect us, we'd be irradiated. It says, and it would be situated at the Lagrange point because there are no gravitational acceleration at this point. So I guess they're saying it's at the point where it's not pulling out and it's not pulling in. This would be a major engineering project, but we worked out the numbers and the cost seems to be worth it if you compare to the cost of damage. It says the cost for the magnetic deflector project is $100 billion, given that the cost of taking 1 kilogram into space costs about 1,000. He says, but I think it will take first Carrington-like event of the modern day era of technology before politicians act. So you hear what he says? He basically says it's going to take a huge blackout to get these folks to actually protect against it because politicians aren't going to do it. They're going to sit twiddling their thumbs and say, see, the thing is we are always, we're not proactive. I guess, Dex, what is the opposite of proactive? Not post.
We're not reactive.
I guess reactive would be a good way to put it. But we're, we wait until after the disaster to fix things. Whereas take Japan, for instance. Japan only lost 15,000 people in one of the largest earthquakes in their history. They had a tsunami. Only 15,000 people died. Now, that's a huge amount of lost life. But as far as what we saw hit Japan and the size of that earthquake, it would have been far worse if they didn't already prepare for huge earthquakes. Now, they built all of their buildings to a standard to live up to essentially a 8.6. That's because they never thought about the 9.0 ever happening. But the point is they signed checks years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, knowing that they're, the people in front of them, the next generation and the generation after, would prosper from the changes they do now. And we don't. We wait. We say it's kind of like a crappy a landlord that, waits until something breaks all the way down and then fixes it or patches it up just to get it running until the last thing and saving every penny. That's kind of how it works when you're dealing, it's capitalism is good and there are some negatives as well. Because I really do believe it's everybody trying to gain as much money as possible, and they don't think of this kind of stuff. If we spend money now...
Well, this seems like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, this seems like the solution that they're proposing is very expensive. Maybe not expensive when you look at the cost of not having this. But it's a pretty big project versus just doing something like hardening the points they're going to fail from a CME, right? Like you could just attack the problem on ground as opposed to worrying about the problem up in the magnetic field.
Well, you realize that if we did it now, we wouldn't have to. So they look at it, $100 billion. You're smoking crack, but then watch it happens tomorrow, and then we get $1,700 trillion in debt because the entire world is destroyed. But they don't see it like that. They just see the $100 billion now. Because they do say $2 to $3 trillion. That's a lot of money.
That is. And you could put that money into solutions on the ground too, and put it into the buildings, the devices, the technology. So
I want to remind you guys, very good point, Dex. I want to remind you guys something right now too. We have a huge story that we believe we're going to break tomorrow. And I want to remind you, no matter what happens today, you guys need to be at that Saturday show. And I don't ever say that. I don't ever say, I don't even care if you guys don't share this show, that's up to you. Tomorrow's show, you need to share. And we are gathering everything. We want to make absolutely sure we have 100% of everything. We want to have the bibliography. We want to have our sources. We want to have everything lined up so nobody can say that we're just making something up, because this is crazy. We have something that I believe is a huge, just obvious slap in the face. I mean, this is This is something that possibly will affect the entire world. And it's serious. It is as serious as it gets. I'll leave it at that. I mean, we wanted to make sure we had everything before we did it. And you guys know, if you watch every single night, I never say that. You have to be at the show tomorrow. Make sure to come and make sure to share that show, because we're going to show you some things that are going to be like, whoa, that is freaky. Just to continue, and by the way, we have a little bit less news tonight. We wanted to get to more calls. Colonizing Mars is no longer a dream. The idea of colonizing Mars left the sphere of speculation a long time ago, and it's taking long strides towards a reality. In fact, scientists are now at the stage of devising ways to make a Mars colony self-sufficient. Do you guys believe this, for one? If you guys believe that we will get to Mars in the next few years, please press 1. Press 2 if you think that it's all fake and it's, some sort of scam. And then press 3 if you don't know. I honestly want to see how many people believe that people are going to go to Mars, and that this is going to be something that in the next 10 years, we're going to have people on the Mars. On the Mars. You're going to have people on the Mars. A lot of 2s. Wow. Actually, that's a lot more 2s than I thought. Wow, a lot of 2s. So, only a couple 3s, and of course, somebody had to put a new name. Good job. Put a number 4. Wow, that's incredible. So, just by this, I mean, this is like a rough estimate, but looks like 90% of people say they don't even believe that it's going to happen. Wow. And Clan Mama, thank you for spelling it out. Shaza Swelfie. Let's see here. Gosh, we got so many people in here tonight. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people do not believe that we will go to Mars. That's the kicker. Like, I know that there's people that don't believe we can even get out to space, let alone go to the moon and then launch from the moon to Mars. But that's what they're saying they're doing. Even T-Man, Commander-in-Chief, just the other day said in his thing, Dex, do you remember that quote? He said, oh, I talked to my guys and they basically told me that, he said, why don't we go into the moon? Why are we going to the moon? And they said, we're going to the moon, sir, but that's only because it's a launch pad to go to Mars. So he was kind of talking like he wasn't filled in, like, what do you mean? Why do we need to go to the moon? Can you see, like, it's like he's just the face of the White House. A lot of the stuff, he can make some big decisions, but it's like mostly there's some things that are kind of on autopilot in the White House. I think the Space Force would have come out no matter who was president. Space Force was a reaction to something that happened. And the things and the UFOs and the Navy reporting all this stuff, I think it's most likely all government technology, and they realize that the enemies have all sorts of stuff, and we have this illusion that we're still number one. Now, I know some of you will disagree with me. I don't know. If you haven't seen their military in person, I wouldn't exactly say, we are judging off of, surveys that other people are doing in the news that we are getting to our country. Some say that China and Russia have, or at least China has almost virtually caught up on a lot of things secretly. It says the idea of colonizing Mars left the sphere of speculation a long time ago, and it's taking long strides toward a reality. In fact, scientists are now at the stage of devising ways to make a colony self-sufficient. According to one recent study, this self-sufficiency will depend on insects and high-calorie crops grown in tunnels. It says food, it appears, will be the biggest challenge, according to the planetary scientist Kevin Cannon, who spoke to space.com about the work he and his colleagues from the University of Central Florida are doing on Mars colonization. So this is all some funky stuff. I just saw a movie or a documentary about some of this. It says the idea of colonizing Mars centers around making this colony self-sufficient rather than reliant on imports. Well, energy can be sourced locally using solar installations and nuclear reactors. Apparently, food would be more difficult to grow locally. Luckily for the future Mars settlers, technology has advanced sufficiently to make lab-grown meat one possibility. Not so luckily, insects will have to be part of the menu. So they're saying that you're going to have to eat grasshoppers and such to survive, apparently, up there. It says bugs are the way to go if people can get over the gross factor. Cannon told Space.com, insects, according to the researchers, offer a very attractive ratio between the amount of calories they can offer and the amount of water and food they need. So again, you could have a cow up in space, but how much, how much field is it going to need and how much water? Insects you can basically live off of, and some of them take next to nothing. It says that's why the team included cricket farms in the model for a self-sufficient Mars colony with a population of 1 million. Besides the tiny six-legged packs of calories, Cannon's team also factored in lab-grown protein. Anything from chicken meat to fish and algae, according to Cannon, is now possible to grow in the lab, and it's not that expensive either. In just 2 years, the cost of a hamburger patty has fallen from over $300,000 to just $11, thanks to generous investments in this particular technology for making meat substitutes. So how do they have these huge investors for this, but we still don't have a cure for cancer? That's what I want to know. They brought down the price of a hamburger patty from $300,000 to $11. What about, cancer care and medicine? Seems kind of crazy to me. Why not just transport some farm animals and keep them for milk, dairies, and meat? Well, because the transportation itself would be a challenge, and feeding them on Mars would be another challenge, according to Cannon. Mars soil is not like Earth's, which is why even plants for humans may need to be grow in tunnels rather than in greenhouse outside. Sorry, guys. It's I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but I've got like 2 fruit flies in here, and they're just driving me nuts. This is a live show, by the way. If I have to kill me a fruit fly, I'm going to be doing it. The team has estimated that a cricket farms and some 9,000 miles of tunnels for growing vegetables, a colony of 1 million people, could achieve self-sufficiency within a century. While this happens, a lot of food would need to be imported from Earth, and this would add to the total cost of colonizing the red planet. In the meantime, most Martian settlers would need to overcome the common human aversion to eating insects. Okay, here's a question for all of you guys. So most of you don't think where we're going to go. I bet some of you think that our planet's doomed and the elites are trying to find a way to get off this planet. Just a thought. Elites are liquidating all of their assets. We have proof of that. They're actually selling all of their properties. They are liquefying things. They're getting cash together. And they are speeding up everything. All of these different countries, all of a sudden, all of our allies are like, how do we get to space? How do we get to the moon? How do we get here? Is anybody putting it together that they might want to get to the moon because they need to get to that launch pad? They need to transport people to the moon to get then to Mars to survive? This is just my opinion, and you guys can disagree. You guys can call in. You can yell at me about it. I think they found out something about our planet, and not about this Greta Thunberg or any of that. I think something else. I think something's changing rapidly, and they have to do something. And why would they go off planet? It wouldn't be that the climate has changed, because now if they can say that we can live on Mars with, that kind of weather and that kind of system, that means we could live here. Just going by their own science, right? I mean, that means we could make tunnels on Earth and set up in bunkers or whatever here. But that would not be the case if we got hit by something. Just saying. If you think logically, why is every country trying to get to the moon again? Even T-Man, Commander-in-Chief, asked himself. And they said, well, they're trying to get to the moon because it's not a space race. We're going to Mars. And it's not a space race to Mars either. My personal opinion is I have a feeling that something's not being told to us, and it's something big. But we'll see. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. Esper praises, this is crazy. So notice how they word this and notice how they put this in here. So about a month ago or a month and a half ago, a Russian crew, some died on a super secretive science research submarine. This happened in Russia, or actually it happened in the water, but I want to say, what was it? Dex, do you remember how many died? It was like 16 died, or was it a smaller number? 9 out of 24?
It was 9 or 12. It was something like that.
So
and yeah, they ended up docking in Russia, but we've heard multiple reports about where that incident really was.
Okay, do you remember all the stories we heard about that? Like, we heard that there was a firefight under the water. Do you remember that? I don't know if you guys remember that. There was an actual story that both sides were fighting. This is a research vessel, so technically it's completely classified. We almost know nothing about it except for kind of how it has the bubbles inside and how it can go extra deep because of how it's made and things like that. They called it some weird name that was named after a Russian cartoon of a juggling horse or something like that. And it's because of the design of the inside of the whole of it looked like balls, and connected balls were stronger as far as they put the shell around it, and it wouldn't crush as easy, so it could go down farther. Well, this thing caught fire, and they say 9 died, but the submarine actually made it back out, and then they towed it back to Russia. It was all secretive, and then they said that this possibly was a firefight. The research vessel that was supposedly in the firefight never goes alone. It actually goes with a regular submarine. Now, here's where it gets weird. There's a bunch of submarines that are at secret places getting repairs, so we don't actually know if they're getting repairs, which it would be pretty smart to say, oh yeah, these are getting repairs, but you actually have them off on a secret mission. Now check this out. It says, Esper praises crew of USS Boise in long-term repairs for readiness. Here's the weird part. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper visited Naval Station Norfolk on Wednesday, where he praised the crew of the USS Boise, an attack submarine that hasn't deployed since 2015 and lost its certification to conduct unrestricted operations in 2016. This isn't where it gets weird yet. It says, from 2008 to 2018, U.S. Navy attack subs spent 10,363 days in idle time or dealing with maintenance delays. And the Navy has spent $1.5 billion over that period to maintain attack subs that have no operational capability. Now, this is the crazy part. It says Secretary of Defense Mark Esper visited the USS Boise on Wednesday, praising the crew for maintaining readiness and lethality, even though the Los Angeles-class nuclear-powered attack submarine completed its most recent deployment in 2015. The Boise has been in limbo awaiting repairs amid a Navy-wide backlog that has sent subs, including the Boise, to private docks for repair, driving up costs. Private docks, as in not public. The Boise is currently at Naval Station Norfolk, according to Daily Press, and awaiting repair at Newport News Shipbuilders. What I am suggesting, and he just praised that USS Boise, there's thousands of these things, but he publicly praised this crew this recently out of nowhere, and it hasn't been on a mission in 5 years. That's weird. Or actually 4 years. I'm just suggesting that, you know, this submarine that caught fire in of Russia's, maybe it was a firefight and they maybe waited a couple months so they could kind of separate it. And now maybe they are praising the crew of that submarine, which is getting repairs. So we don't know what shape it's in. It could have had damage to it. So there's some weirder stuff too. If there was a secret operation, another thing that I thought was crazy is if there's a secret operation and somebody dies and they can't find out about their death, sometimes they will even have them die in another place, or they'll say, oh, they were moved over here and then they killed them off in some other way, or they make the official story that they killed themselves. This has happened in history, where they died a top secret operation and there was absolutely no way that they could tell even the family of how they had died. So what did they do? They said, oh, well, he killed himself or this or that. And there was a lot of turmoil back in the 40s and 50s because they told some families that, and then later on released that it was not, in fact, their kid wasn't suicide or anything like that, that he died being a hero. Most of the cases, they publicly talk about it afterwards, but on the most secretive missions, even their own family does not know what kind of heroes these people are. So I further get to a couple of other things. They could end up, saying that they committed suicide some other place. There are
Adam, remember?
Go ahead.
Remember the craziness of the story from the funeral in Russia? What the commander said, that they basically saved the planet.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, just to pull this up real quick, this is really crazy. This is something that I've been scratching my head for a while now. Tells family averted planetary. Okay, you're gonna love this. Wonder if this is a sound one. No. Oh, I love that they have that ad show up. Oh yeah, like Sally, come and get your flu. Get your flu done at the local anywhere. It won't even let you leave this thing. What the heck? Can't even cover the damn thing. It says it was a highly professional crew. According, the two are heroes of Russia. It's a huge loss for the fleet and for the whole army. Let's see here. I offer my sincere condolences to the families of the victims. So here's don't know why it just disappeared like that. Oh, I hate these ones. It says Russian servicemen averted planetary catastrophe. Oh my gosh. I hate websites like this. They just completely, they're black holes. Let's just say that. It says families of the 14 Russian servicemen who were killed after a fire broke out on a nuclear submarine have reportedly been told that their relatives averted a planetary catastrophe. A high-ranking military official is said to have made a comment at the funeral for the crew in St. Petersburg days after the accident in the Barents Sea earlier this week. The incident remains shrouded in mystery after the Russian government refused to reveal the submarine's name and its mission, claiming them as state secrets. Can you imagine the dirt that is being hidden right now from all of us? Like, that's nuts. Averted a planetary catastrophe. what is really going on. Now, when a high-ranking military official says a planetary catastrophe, that means the whole planet, a catastrophe for the entire planet. So a lot of people have their theories. They think, oh, if the nuclear reactor blew up in the ocean, it could poison everything, or if it was, if they were down by the, what did they call it, that fault line, that it could, the Marianas Trench or something, that it could destroy the whole world and trigger all the volcanoes and all this stuff. I don't know what happened, but I will say this. They waited about a month and a half, 2 months, and now they're randomly praising the crew of one specific sub. It just seems kind of weird to me. And they've done that in the past where they're actually praising a certain specific crew, but not, coming out and saying it. It says there are still 12 House Democrats who don't support impeachment proceedings. Why? If you want to read the rest of this, I am so done on this impeachment crap. You guys have probably seen 14 hours of it anywhere else. Just to give you a quick update, there are a lot of people that have kind of flipped since they heard the full story of it. So if you want to go into this, it is on our website, marfooglenews.com. You can go ahead and, impeachment news to your heart's desire there. Russia quietly building a network of spy satellites that can spot U.S. missiles. Why do you guys think? Something is going on. There's so much. Like, I wonder when people are going to start waking up and notice that the entire world is essentially preparing for a huge conflict. But people don't want to think of conflict. They don't want to think of war. They don't want to think of anything because they just want to, put it far out their minds and they want everything to be okay. We don't have world peace. We're far from it. And we're going to have another conflict. It says Russia has launched another of its secretive spy satellites designed to silently track nukes fired from the U.S. Why are they doing that? Well, maybe because there's a lot of threats. Hurled into orbit from the launch pad in northeast Russia, the probe can detect long-range missiles the moment they launch and record their progress across the sky. Russia is building a network of satellites to warn the incoming missile strikes, known as Project Tundra. Okay, Dex, did you see the name of that? It says Project Tundra. Do you remember how we just had the I'm trying to remember who she was that called in, talking about how she gave us that article that showed all of these ships were all of a sudden getting sent up to the Antarctica. What is...
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? And this thing's called Project Tundra. I don't think that's a coincidence. That's kind of funky. I just remember that they even said they were going up there and it was kind of like a tit for tat, or that they're going to go up there to kind of face off with Russia. And now they've got this satellite system called Project Tundra. Or who knows, maybe it could be a laser system that melts glaciers or something. Don't know, but it's pretty weird. Russia's Tundra's satellites. So see, it sees the missile. These are all the way up here. And it says Tundra satellites carry high-tech sensors. They detect the launch of a missile and track its progress. Early warning sent back to Moscow allows time to evacuate ahead of impact. That is creepy. I mean, what the hell? Look at how they show the map. I guess those are nuclear reactors or nuclear missile silos. It's kind of creepy to look at it like that. Tomorrow's news is going to blow you guys out of the water. I'll tell you that much right now. It's really freaky. If you guys want to read the rest of that, you can make sure to go to marfooglenews.com, which, by the way, if I did not get to that at the beginning of the show, I usually do. I tell you how. If you go to marfooglenews.com, you can actually go to this thumbnail, and then what will happen is you can end up going into this. So you'll click it, click this right here on the website. We've got so much. I mean, this is going to be awesome tomorrow night. Awesome in a bad way, but man. You can click this, and then down below it has every article that we used. So you'll see that we're actually almost done. So we'll get through the news, but if you are watching this a month later, you can actually go there. You can read all the articles. You can download them. All sorts of cool stuff. So make sure to check that out. The snake-like UFO returns to California as YouTuber films strange object on horizon. Now, again, we have talked about this for the last 4 months. I think it's some sort of government project or some sort of government fleet. This might be one of the things that China is unveiling on October 1st. In 4 days, they're having their Navy thing. Now, I don't think they would show this, but there were some weird things underneath weird camo covers. It says a snake-like UFO that has been seen across the U.S. appears to have finally returned to the spot of its first sighting. The mysterious object was first spotted way back in June when a YouTuber discovered a bright light above the Mojave Desert in California. Since then, footage of the UFOs have emerged in Wyoming, New York, and in Washington. The videos have become so regular, in fact, that the former police detective told the Daily Star Online that the U.S. government could be silently monitoring them. It says, and now a clip has surfaced seemingly showing the snake-like UFO reappearing over the Mojave Desert. Let's see here. So these are what they look like. I don't know if you can see that. I'll full screen it for you. When you see the live videos of them, which I don't know, do we have a video clip of this? I don't think it's embedded correctly, so let's see. Either way, they look like this weird snake, and this doesn't do it justice because when you see it live, it almost looks like how, you know, the barbershop cane, how a barbershop cane spins, and it's kind of an optical illusion. It looks like it's going down, but it's really not. That's how this kind of looks. All the lights go around. And it's not like a disc, so it's not like it's some flat disc. It actually waves like a snake. The way that it moves is like it's almost part organic. And then we have our second interstellar visitor. Some people think that this stuff is connected. Like, you know, like last time they dropped off a scout or something, and then this time they're coming back for, you know, more. The Navy all of a sudden has told all of the Navy folks to report anything and everything that they see, which everybody thought was weird. So I don't know. What do you guys think this is? Have you seen one? And, you know, let us know your experience. Amazon Echo frames spark concerns about privacy. This is just another thing. Amazon unveiled a slew of new devices at an event this week, with one sparking fears of an Orwellian world, called Echo Frames. These Alexa-powered smart glasses have tiny microphones built into the frame that allow the wearer to hear the personal assistant and it hear them. Consumers have voiced their fears of this quote, terrifying spyware, suggesting it is a threat to privacy as Alexa can hear and record what users are saying, and it can pick up conversations within earshot. It says, terrifying spyware. It is deeply wrong to wear this crap. It infringes my liberty as well as your own. Amazon launches Alexa Smart Ring, smart glasses, and earbuds. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is something that others shouldn't even own because it's actually impeding on your rights? I would love to hear your views on this. It says consumers have voiced their fears of this terrifying spyware, suggesting it is a threat to privacy as Alexa can hear and record what users are saying, and it can pick up conversations within earshot. Amazon has pitched its new Echo Frames as enabling users to have hands-free access to Alexa. You can hear notifications and alerts, activate smart home or call a friend, all without pulling out your phone. The glasses are designed with an open ear technology that pushes sound directly into your ear but leaves your ear uncovered so the world around you is not blocked. Wow. So I'm guessing did they say it was bone induction?
Hey, Adam, I think it is. But, you know, the other thing is they're going to have to change the way we spell spyware now, right?
How so?
Well, spyware is based off of software, W-A-R-E, and this is something you wear on your body. Literally spyware, W-E-A-R.
Oh, that's
it's crazy.
Well,
I know it's corny, but lame. But seriously, I mean, you're literally wearables are spying now.
Well, and I don't get much of the point. They're ugly ass glasses. Like, if that's really how big they have to be, look at look, it looks like it's supposed to extend or something. Like it's the thick part of a tripod, and that this thing's supposed to come all the way out. Those are ugly as hell.
This is the first gen. This is the first gen, because I promise you, by version like 7.
Well, where's the first Steve?
Cameras.
The first Steve would look a lot better.
Yeah, they'll have cameras on them, and they'll be seeing everything. And it won't just be listening; it'll be seeing everything.
Well,
That's crazy.
So Google had Glass. Now this is Alexa. So this is Amazon. So this is like, you know, this is the Amazon kind of portion. You know, Google had the Google Glass, and it didn't do too well because, one, it was expensive. 2, the battery didn't last great. And then we weren't at that point yet. So now they're retrying basically the same stuff, but it doesn't look like, I don't know if this has that screen part. If this is purely saying that this just has the audio, it's like you could just have your earbuds in, you know, I guess, but this says you don't have to have that. I wonder what the Alexa smart ring is though. So, and earbuds, I wonder what the smart ring is, like a wedding ring that you can tap and then, you know, tells other women that you're taken. I don't get it. It says I don't think it's great at all. Amazon unveiled it says Joseph Jerome, an independent privacy consultant, told dailymail.com in an email, Echo frames are an interesting product, though they may be more novelty than anything. That's what I think. I think these things look stupid. But again, like smartwatches, when smartwatches first came out, nobody wore them. But they've quadrupled in sales because the wearables and the smartwatches listen too. That if somebody doesn't wear watches, then how are you going to get some sort of spyware on them? And again, something that they wear on them. The earbuds, that would be a good way too. If they have Zoom mics, they can hear everything around them. It's pretty scary. So we're already there. We're already at Orwellian nightmare. Google, I've also talked about Google when they released Google Clips. I thought that was scary as heck. Now Google's new Nest Hub Max is a smart display unit that comes equipped with a 6.5 megapixel facial recognition camera that identifies you and monitors all your actions inside your home. Okay, this is just dumb. People straight up are sleeping. They're like, oh yeah, I need facial recognition in my house. Then if my maid is a crook, well, no. That's what I bet they'll think in just a couple years from now. And the Orwellian icing on the cake is that it is not equipped with a physical shutter to forcibly prevent it from monitoring what's happening in your home. So what they're saying is it's always on. It's the first smart home product from Google to include a camera so that you can make video calls. It looks like a tablet propped up on its side, and it works similarly to smart speakers such as Amazon Echo. The Nest Hub Max is essentially a smart speaker that lets you control connected smart home devices, and it comes with a display and a camera. So it says it's not too dissimilar from the Google Home Hub, which Google just rebranded as the Nest Hub. The new device has a 10-inch HD screen. It looks like a tablet in landscape orientation that's propped up on a base, and the base contains a speaker. It says the device allows you to check in on what's happening in your home when you're out, and because of its facial recognition capabilities, it will detect when you enter the room and provide you personalized information for you, such as your day's appointments, the weather forecast, and so on, reported Natural News. So that was from our good old friend Mike. Man, that's not Orwellian. We're not almost to Orwellian. We are Orwellian. This is 1984. It is 2019, folks. We are almost to 2020, the year 2020. You know how many sci-fi films basically showed 2020 as like flying cars and all this stuff? Woman with Wi-Fi allergy sleeps in copper sleeping bag and fears 5G may kill her. You know, I bet some read this and they think, what a loopy, crazy woman. Now I've actually met people and seen people with sensitivities. Here's the crazy part. They can tell you if you have a cell phone in your pocket, even if you don't, you tell them, oh no, I left my cell phone in the car. They will sense it. Not only will they sense it, they can feel it the closer you get. I thought this was fake when I first saw it. Like I saw it probably 6-7 years ago, and you know, I was down a lot of rabbit holes by then. It was like 2003 when I kind of woke up, when I got the disc from in fact, I woke up by being, I've told this a million times, but I got handed a disc, which I believe was Loose Change. Sorry, guys. Was Loose Change by Alex, AJ. And he used to have a grassroots campaign, and these people handed me like a home burned disc of Loose Change about 9/11 or September 11. And I watched that and I woke up. So I've been awake since 2003, 2004. A lot of that stuff, once I went down that road, I'd never stopped. As far as like this, up until about 5 years ago, I thought it was dumb. I thought they really were loopy. And then I met people with it, and I will never say anything like that again. Some folks have actually grown an allergy to Wi-Fi, to electrical magnetic EMF stuff. I mean, people have headaches, people have ringing in their ears. This is not only real, people need to advocate for others that have this, because man, they get a lot of crap from a lot of people. It says a woman who claims she is allergic to Wi-Fi sleeps in a 400-pound copper sleeping bag and is terrified that the rollout of 5G will kill her. Rosie Gladwell, 70 years old, a self-diagnosed radiation sufferer, has spent thousands of pounds protecting herself against Wi-Fi over the years. Rosie spends most of her time in Spanish mountains after diagnosing herself with EMF sensitivity. She sleeps in a bag, woven with silver and copper, and has a protective sheet. She believes that the electromagnetic radiation from Wi-Fi leaves her feeling weak, short of breath, and with pins and needles in her face. She sleeps with her sleeping bag woven with silver and copper, has a protective sheet she wraps around her body, and a 200-pound handheld radiation detector. Rosie from Doutney, Devon, has managed to cope with spending thousands of pounds to protect herself, but she said that she fears that 5G might literally kill her. She says, I'm actually quite frightened about the future. At the moment, I've managed to make myself safe by being fortunate enough to live in a house in the countryside where there are no measured electromagnetic frequencies. She goes, if I go to a cafe, I try to sit outside, and if we go out to dinner, I take my meter with me. And when I can decide which seats have the least radiations and sit there, because it varies so much in a room. So I bet you there's some people that would automatically look at this and go, she's nuts. She's not telling the truth. She thinks this, it's all in her head. Very well could be. but I will tell you it does exist, and EMF radiation is horrible. And once you meet somebody who has it and you see, like, they could tell you 10 out of 10 times if you have a cell phone in your pocket, if you have a lavalier mic, if you have any kind of EMF, electrical magnetic interference on you, they can sense it. And they can't only sense it, it gets like more painful the closer you get. At least the people with all of the serious the more serious cases of it. I think all of us, would be a lot healthier if we didn't have all this stuff around. Now, this is something I see fitting into some other things. I think personally, when you're in the military and you accidentally see too much, you might just get disappeared. And here's why. I'll tell you why. It says out of Washington, this is out of the Associated Press, military suicides surged this year to a record high among active duty troops, continuing a deadly trend that Pentagon officials say is frustrating and they're struggling to counter. It says the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps all saw the rate of suicides go up as well as the overall numbers, with only the Air Force showing a decrease. According to data released by the Pentagon Thursday, suicides among members of the reserves and the National Guard also grew. So all of our branches went up. The difficulties involved in identifying service members with possible problems and finding ways to prevent suicides were underscored earlier this month when, get this, the Navy reported that 3 crew members who served on the USS George H.W. Bush took their lives all within a week. Within a week. Now, some might say, well, maybe they were really good friends and one took their life and the other one said, oh, I can't live without Charlie and I can't live without Susie. I think they found out, or they found out about something that they shouldn't have. This is what I'm kind of talking about. I'm saying, maybe 1, maybe 2, but 3 members on the same ship, all committing suicide at the same time. If you're on a ship like that, you know everyone on the ship. So for 3 to pass away, it's not like, it was a 50,000 people and out of 50,000, 3, killed themselves. This was, a crew that, had somebody get in there. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. The difficulties involved in identifying service members with possible problems and finding ways to prevent suicides were underscored earlier this month with that. And it says, asked about the deaths in the crew of the aircraft carrier, Defense Secretary Mark Esper, the same one that praised USS Boise, says, I wish I could tell you we have an answer to prevent further future suicides in the armed services. We don't. We are caught up in what some call a national epidemic of suicide among our youth. So, I just think separately that one case where there's 3 on the same boat, I think they got let into something and did their job and then were taken care of. I don't know. That just seems pretty messed up for 3 to all do it at the same time. Arkancide, you could call it. So, lots of crazy, crazy things. But you know how it goes. Well, all right, you guys. So we're going to get the phones open. If you guys do want to help support us, this is going to take 25 seconds. You can support us by getting an EMP shield. So all of the things that we have covered here, just to let you know, I don't want to take away from it, but we have a lot of threats to our power grid, no matter what it is. Whether it be a Carrington event or whether it be an EMP, you can protect yourself against both with an EMP shield. These guys actually work with the government to actually help our grid prepare for the next or inevitable, in their own words, attack or Carrington event coming from space. You can get one for your home, your vehicle, your generator, your ham radio operator, your solar system, and even your RV. If you have not done this yet, please do. Even if you do not use our code, if you go outside, you can go to incognito and you can buy it without us. I still recommend doing this. If you do not have the money for this, we most likely will have a contest sometime in the future as well again. But on top of that, they actually give you information on their website on how to make a Faraday cage. So either way, if you have something incredibly valuable, they will teach you how to do it. This is a good company. They hand make these out of Kansas. And again, this is military grade, and they are helping our government, the Department of Defense and Homeland Security, tighten our grid up since Commander-in-Chief signed that bill. They've teamed up with Klarna, so if you haven't purchased it before because you didn't have, $300, they've not only broken up into 4 installments with Klarna, but it's interest-free and it requires no money up front. So make sure to go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. They did that just for our audience. And of course, make sure to check them out on their website, empshield.com. And as always, I also wanted to do my notice, and then we will get crack-a-lacking on the phones. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Adam aka Marfoogle, Dex, or anyone who helps the show like the mods. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. And if you haven't checked over my regular channel here, the short shareable features over on Marfoogle News, make sure to go over there. That's at 143,000, whereas this one we are almost to 100,000. So, we are less than 10,000 away from 100,000 on 2 different channels. Make sure to subscribe to both. One is TV, one is news. One is a live call-in show, the other is short shareable content. Join Discord at marfooglenews.com. We have your state group meeting in person and preparing for the inevitable. And then, of course, you have the Foogle Family private screening of the Earthing movie. If you would like to see a full, unedited, no commercial movie about Earthing, you can do so at marfooglenews.com. That's got Amy Smart, Muriel Hemingway, Deepak Chopra, professional ball players in it. It's a great documentary. Check it out. And it would definitely teach you about ground therapy. We are very transparent. We are not only believers in ground therapy. I use ground therapy. Dex uses ground therapy. So we wanted to actually reach out to them, and we ended up being affiliates. Every commission of this actually goes towards expanding our channel. I don't ask for donations. I never do. You just don't hear that from us. But if we do something that does earn money, we tell you, and we're very transparent about it. I have always been like that. And you guys know I don't put banners like donate, 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 all that. What I do ask is if you do believe in something like this, get it from the man himself, the one who did a lot of the patents, one who kind of rediscovered it. Again, people have been doing this for decades. Grounding is something you have to learn about. It's something that it's kind of like why didn't I know about this before? It decreases inflammation, and all of the list of things on that list, all of those things, a lot of them actually come from that very top one. Especially if you have digestive or sleep problems, this is the thing to do. Again, that one was marfooglenews.com/earthing. You can use the code MH for Muriel Hemingway to get free shipping, which actually saves you a bundle if you end up getting some of the bigger stuff. And if you have not, we are doing something different. So we haven't changed it yet. We are still getting suggestions, but we are going to put 100% of the proceeds for the shirts. I don't know if we're going to do the same ones. We want to do shirts that 100% of the proceeds goes towards a cause. So if you have a suggestion for a cause that it should go to, make sure to email us at adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com. You can get our Love Mob shirts or the Marfia shirts if you want to represent at marfooglenews.com/t-shirts. And let's get the phones crack-a-lackin'. Okay. So it looks like, bam, we have Jake up first. All right. Let's get Jake on Dex. And Russia and theory on China's anti-drinking for 70th anniversary. What's up with this? Jake, you are live on Marfoogle TV. Can you hear me fine?
I can. Can you hear me?
Good. Okay, I'm so glad. Just so you know, this is our first show with we've got a little lavalier hooked onto the regular mic, and it sounds like it's working great. Okay.
Good.
So talk about Russia and the theory, your theory on China's anti-drinking rule for the 70th anniversary.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know if you remember, but I called the night of the SA attack when it was ongoing.
Yes, the oil refinery.
Yes. So I think the Ruski thing I told Dex about, and hopefully he has the link to you. I think that's directly connected to it because the vehicles that are shown in this picture have what's called invasion marks, and those are basically just paintings that close air support aircraft can look at the vehicle and say, okay, that's a good guy. These vehicles don't have this marking. They're the bad guys. Let's go after them. Well, the Ruskies put these stripes on their vehicles and then put the vehicles on the western border immediately next to Ukraine or UK or whatever. They also put them in the island that they randomly took. I'm trying to be diplomatic, but the stripes you see, because I see the pictures up, the stripes that are marked on there are recent. They didn't have those on any of the other war games that they did in the past couple months. This is all new paintings that they've put onto their vehicles.
So just to confirm, you guys understand what he's talking about. The stripes that are painted on these tanks from the sky let somebody who's piloting a plane or a helicopter that these are friendlies.
Correct.
So
yeah, and
this looks like they're preparing.
Right, and what I think is fixing to happen is if we respond to the previous attack that happened on the oil field, then the Ruskies will use that as an opportunity to push into what they already want to take. I've called several months ago, but I have a close personal person to me who's a military contractor, and they told me several months ago that they already have people in Poland, and as we all know, that's a NATO ally. And the issue about the whole SA attack is Turkey, who's a NATO ally, actually sided with Ryan, which would totally destroy the NATO alliance that we have because we can't have infighting within NATO. And so I think the Ruskies will use this turmoil and push into, because the war has been going on for 5 years. In fact, there's a tweet I have on my phone that says that Ruski hybrid forces had launched 24 attacks within Ukraine within the last 24 hours. And so they're clearly wanting to push into this area, and they're just waiting for a distraction elsewhere, whether it's the impeachment that we're waiting for, or if it's an actual response from the SA and their allies to Ryan. So I just figured, I'd let people know that they're clearly getting ready for something to happen.
Now the picture I am seeing, that flag is not a Russian flag though, correct? That is.
No, that's not. But that's the style that they've painted. That was just used as like an example. but that's the vehicles look very similar with that white paint stripe down the middle.
That is incredibly creepy.
Yeah.
So they all have these right here. Bam.
Right, exact. Yeah. Yeah, the ones driving down the road. All those, and each one of them has that marking. And the person that you're following, this thread, actually has several more pictures involved with it. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but actually the Ruskies Special Forces were actually caught in Norway doing observe and report missions. So they're spreading their tentacles everywhere.
So this General Peter McKellar, this is the gentleman who's doing this. Freelance writer, blogger with military and security policy focus. This guy does not look like a nut. He is saying that they're preparing for. He's saying that they're preparing for war. Yeah,
most definitely. That's what. I mean, that's the only reason why you would put invasions.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't do that normally. So, and did you remember a week and a half ago we had our command sea lift fleet basically say, "Hey, you need to get ready in 5 days," and do a drill that had all of them doing it instead of just a couple ships here and there. If you guys, if you follow the show regularly, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We just told our whole Sea Command lift fleet to get ready, and essentially a no-notice drill. So they told them, "Hey, we want to see if you can get ready in 5 days." And now all this stuff is happening 5 days later. This is weird.
What's scary to me is that if you look at naval transportation across the country, or across the world rather, I mean, you have 3 destroyers that are already in the ME. You had the aircraft carrier who sent their carrier group before the carrier left port. And then you brought up the submarine story of the USS Boise. And that makes me think that they have, submarines in the area to protect the carrier to catch up to the carrier group. Because, I mean, you don't send a carrier group without the carrier. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. So the carrier group had to plow away to whatever destination they needed to go to before the carrier could even leave, because I guess they were worried that they were going to get intercepted, or so. I don't know. I don't know why you would send a carrier group without the carrier, but it's just sitting in port. I don't know if it's left or not, but there's a lot of movement. And another thing that I've noticed personally is that there's a lot of military air traffic. And coincidentally, today, the military radar that civilians can go onto and track military aircraft was down. No one could access the internet and see where the aircraft were. It was all hush hush kind of thing. So it could just be a simple malfunction with the internet, or somebody needs to hide where they're going, because I couldn't see where they were.
Well, Jake, thank you for calling in and bringing that to our attention. Sure. What creeps me out is that gentleman does not look like some wacko. He looks like a legitimate freelance writer and blogger and journalist. So,
yep.
And what he's posting there is a surefire sign of getting prepared for either an invasion of some sort, and that could be another smaller country or something else. They like the Crimea situation that happened.
Exactly.
So who knows? They could be annexing another country or us. You never know. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Then
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. With the whole China thing.
What do you think about that?
So, personally, I think the reason why they don't allow alcohol, because it clouds the mind. There's so many things going on in the world that if their military need to be called up, because almost all the citizens are military trained. You have to serve to a certain extent in their military. So, I mean, for them to drink, that would cloud their mind. So if something were to go off, then they needed to be prepared to respond to whatever situation. And the sea has a treaty with the Ruskies that if one's attacked, the other has to respond with them. And so you can't have half the population celebrating because it's their 70th anniversary, and then have the other country get in a war and expect help, but then not get it because they're just drunk on their butt. So I think.
So I agreed with you. I don't know if you heard me say on that show that is it because they're not drinking to get prepared for something? You've got all these things that were lining up in 5 days ago. Look back at that show when they called in and said our whole sea command fleet was no notice drilled into getting ready for something crazy big.
Yep. Exactly.
And now all these things are lining up. And that was after the bombing of the refinery.
Bingo. I think that was the thing that set off everything into motion. I don't think we're out of the woods. I think, in fact, we're getting deeper in the woods. I think everybody's starting to look around and say, okay, these are our assets. These are where they need to be. And we're just waiting for the moment where all the pawns are in place and then everything's go. We're getting ready. So.
Well, Jake, thanks for calling in. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate it. And please call in again. I always appreciate hearing from you. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. You have a good night.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Delilah or Delia. Is it Delilah or Delia?
Delilah.
Delilah. Nice to meet you.
Bible.
Nice to meet you, Delilah. And let's see here. I've got a card that says Nibiru, been studying it for years, calling out of Spokane, Washington. Okay, go ahead.
I've got a tremendous amount of rattling on my end. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. I can pretty much connect all the dots with Nibiru. Where it is, what it is, why it is. What do you want to know first?
I guess as long as it's 5 minutes, just school us.
Okay. It has a 3,600-year orbit. It's actually not just a planet. It's a brown dwarf. So it's not a black hole like you were kind of talking about earlier. It's a brown dwarf star. It's our sun's twin. There's 7 planets orbiting it. Nibiru is the one that's on the outside edge. What else do we need to know? It comes through, and all throughout history, it's disrupted the Earth every time it comes by. It was the Great Flood. It was the year without a summer. It was like a lot of the big eruptions in history, the big earthquakes have been on these things. As they start to come through,
Now, are you saying it killed?
I do better with questions.
Are you saying you killed the dinosaurs as well by bringing a asteroid towards it?
No, it's just the gravitational force of having a second star in our inner solar system. It's not actually Nibiru that's the problem. It's the star.
Huh.
The gravitational force of having a second star in the inner solar system, and it's here. This is what's causing all of our planetary disruptions, our weather pattern disruptions, and it's what causes pole shift.
Now,
because when it comes flying by from below the equator of the solar system, it flies by our planet and flips us around for a loop.
So, and where do you get this information? If somebody wanted to look into Nibiru stuff, I guess where did you kind of have to do all of your research?
Some people I would recommend are Terrell Blackstar, Mark Elkin. Those are probably the 2 primary ones. Laura Wells is another excellent. Paul Begley has a YouTube channel, and he has Mike from around the world that comes on his channel every once in a while.
It's funny.
There's a lot of people out there that are following it.
Yeah, a lot of people they they only know Mike from around the world because of Paul Begley, but they actually, I get so many people that don't even suggest Paul. They actually suggest Paul Begley because he has Mike on his show. And so make sure to check out both of those people. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so, but what proof could somebody come and bring to the rest of the world to just prove Nibiru? Like, what are they basing it off of? It seems like a lot of the Nibiru stuff is based on of kind of just theory. So do you take stories like what we said as proof?
It's you got to watch for a long time to really be able to sort out the truth from the fiction, because there's a whole lot of hype out there about it, because it's all disinformation. The elite don't want the people to know that this thing's out there, so they put out all kinds of false leads and hype that people can chase their tails forever and never get to the truth. I would say the biggest thing is Terrell Blackstar is following the earthquake patterns. And you can track the patterns of earthquakes. It's a 188-day cycle to the near side alignment and the far side alignment. And I've been watching this for years. It happens all consistently, since 2012. There's an uptick period. There's a lull period to when we get to the 90-degree position to the star. Then it's an uptick period again to the near side alignment or the far side alignment. And then we get this lull, and then we get to the uptick period again. Right now, where it's sitting, it's around Christmas time, and it's getting really intense now. This last uptick period we had was it was over a month long, where we were just having these intense earthquakes. We had 7 after 7 after 7. The weather is going absolutely bonkers. All of our jet streams are not flowing around the Earth like they're supposed to anymore. They're all swirlies.
So what happens when it gets closer? How close are we in your opinion to kind of the end of humans?
Well, we got a lot. We're not going to end. There'll be people that survive. There's always people that survive. This is a normal thing for the Earth. It does it every 3,600 years. It'll change life as we know it. But the world's definitely not going to end, but it will definitely be different.
Do you think that that's why people might want to go to Mars temporarily? Maybe it's not the end of Earth permanently. It's just until it goes by.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. So am I on point with your theory?
Absolutely. The elites have the deep underground bases, which I think that's kind of a dumb location. And
well,
all
literally deep underground military bases. But
and I think maybe that's a distraction. They want us to think that's where they went, but really they're going off world.
Huh. What we're showing right now, that by the way, is kind of the thing that she is talking about, the supposed kind of oval, what do you call it? The trajectory, the orbit of the planet. It's not like a normal round circle. So
yeah, it's coming up from below the ecliptic. That's why we can't see it. And it's also mostly visible in infrared, which is also why we can't see it. If you had an infrared telescope and you were on the South Pole, you could see it plain as day.
Isn't that what John X had, that gear that he had? His star stuff? Is that infrared?
I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. Yeah, that's why they have the infrared telescopes. But you've got to look below the ecliptic. You can't see it yet.
Huh. Well, thank you for calling in, and thank you for your opinions, and of course, call in again. I would love for us to have a special about this. As far as Planet X or Planet 9, I don't know. That's why I want to learn about it. But some people, when I say something like that, they go, "I already know all about it," and this and that. I think you can always learn, and I think that we are always finding out new things. So just because, I've had some people that, they watch a couple videos and they say that they're learn. You have to spend, it sounds like you've spent a lot of time studying it. So
I actually found out about this planet way back at 9/11. It for some reason, don't ask why, it ended up from that conspiracy to finding out about what's really going on. But that's how long I've been studying it.
Isn't it weird how that September 11 kind of woke so many people up to so much? Like, we woke up and if you can wrap your head around possibly the real culprits of who did it, I think you can kind of wrap your head around any of this. So that's the fact.
And that's a whole new can of worms.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Delilah, for calling in, and I would love to hear from you again, especially about Planet X. If you think of something that you would want to present on the channel as far as Planet X on your next call, that would be great.
I would love to do a special with you because 5 minutes doesn't even scratch the surface.
Oh, I'm sure. That's why, we have callers that call in, 2-3 times a week. So, well, thank you, Delilah, and I have, it was nice meeting you, and you have a great night, okay?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Up next, we have Kathy. First off, I would love to hear, love to hear in the chat. What do you guys think of Planet X? Do you think it's real? Hello, you are live on Marfoogle News. Kathy.
Hi, Marfoogle. How are you?
Good. How are you? Always a pleasure.
Pretty good. I want to thank you for having this program so that we can call in. I'm a little nervous about I've called in before, but I'm a little nervous about this. The thing that's going on with DT and Ukraine, it's coming to light that maybe the DNC servers are there. So this doesn't just involve Biden and his son. It involves a whole lot of other people. And with the new election that they've had and the person that's in office now, he's taken a lot of direction from DT. And I think this is going to involve China also. So I just wanted to put that out there, that this is slowly coming out. And the other thing, there's a lot of propaganda going on by the DS, and a lot of fear-mongering propaganda. And I just want your listeners to know that it's not just the U.S., it's worldwide. They're not just here in America. They're all over. The deep state is everywhere. So there's propaganda, fear-mongering propaganda all over the world. And so I wanted to just kind of touch on that. And the other thing is the lady that just called in, if you go to Final Days and she says to share her videos, she shows a planet. And I know with all the stuff that we going on in the skies, this person lives in Alaska, and they get to see the sun coming up, sometimes two, and that the sun that we have, that bright white thing, whatever it is not the sun. But she does show an incoming planet, and they try and cover it up. And I've always thought for a long time now that with all the stuff going on, that they were covering up something. And sometimes I wonder if all this stuff that's going on is not meant to cover up what's really going on. And I don't know about Nibiru, and I've heard about Planet X.
Well,
this lady,
the thing is, we've all heard about Planet X, and we all wonder about it. And I think it's in the back of all of our heads that, this is something that it creeps us out to think that there's this like planet killer thing coming towards us, and it's got the gravitational pull to wipe us out. But this is what I love about YouTube is at first it started out as people just kind of getting on camera doing weird stuff, or doing ping pong ball tricks into cups and stupid basketball shots, and then it turned into something it's like our modern day poetry, our modern day kind of Roman Colosseum of gladiators and performers and talent and news and theologians. I mean, that's what this is. These are theologians online, essentially saying all of their theories about what is going on in the world. And even back then, there were theologians that were laughed at that were, they ended up being right about a lot of stuff. So the people that are kind of on the edge here on YouTube, they very well could be telling you the future and you just don't even realize it. So that's one way to look at it too.
The thing is that I don't think the deep state would want us to think that they're doing all the weather stuff. When this woman that was just called said that, this planet, the sun grabs things that passes by that are small, but this thing that she shows on Final Days is huge. And she talks about, no lens flares, and she shows it, and it seems to be like Alaska's where they catch it. The weather videos that they have up there, the cameras that they have, she shows it from a lot of different places up there. And, we would be the last ones to know because they don't want us to panic, because what would happen? People would quit their jobs and stay home with their families. That's the thing. They don't want the people to panic. So I just feel sometimes, and I felt this very deeply, that we're being distracted. And there's another weird thing that takes place too. And he says to share his videos, and that's Jeff Snyder. And he's kind of out there sometimes, but there's all this wood, and he's Arizona, Utah, Idaho. He's a truck driver. He's driving down the road, and in the middle of it's a four-way freeway, and in the middle of the freeway, there's a divider with trees and plants, and he finds this burned wood that's burned from the inside out. And today he was showing on a ranch out in the middle of nowhere. He's helping some people. He's pulling in by truck pieces to build a house. And he says, I'm the only one who sees this, but he sees it everywhere. And it's branches and bushes where there's dry shrub all around it that didn't burn, but these plants that are rooted, it comes up through the roots and it burns from the inside of these plants out, and the trees, it burns from the inside out. And I know that we live in an electric atmosphere, and what do you call it? The electromagnetics. This
Right.
stuff's coming underground, and I just wonder if it could be tied in to whatever's coming towards us, because this is coming from, I don't know, the Earth's core, inside the Earth out. And, California's had a lot of fires. And, they've talked about them being not normal.
Well, they say, Kathy, that there's possibly new volcanoes even. So fire coming from the brimstone underneath us.
Well, you know what? I think all that stuff, but the thing is, she talked about, on the last caller, talked about all the tunnels and underground facilities that they're building. And when you start talking about the earthquakes and the magna, it doesn't make much sense to me why they would build all this stuff underground if they expected there to be magma and earthquakes, because they're not going to be safe under there no more than we're safe up here.
Well,
So,
they do have mapping technologies that can see the. I think that they know exactly where the kind of. I think they know what's underneath there, and it's not all magma in some places, or they know how thick it is, or something. I don't know. I think I do know that they have some pretty crazy technology that none of us even know about.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm the one who told you about 7 orbs. I've seen in the sky.
I know.
And
I remember that, actually. That was the good video.
I don't believe that those were from another planet. I believe that those were man-made right here. You know, by who? Who knows? So anyway, those are just a few things that I wanted to cover. And if you ever get a chance, Marf, you know, because I wanted to ask you if you had ever seen any of this wood that looks like it's been burnt from the inside out. If you ever studied some of the pictures that were taken from the disasters that have happened here in California, I saw quite a few things that looked like.
No, Paradise. We can say it now. I think, I don't know. Back then they were very sensitive about it, but Paradise was crazy. Yeah, no, it was weird. If you did videos with Paradise in it during that time, if you had anything in the title, anything in your video for a good 3 months, it was very, very odd. I mean, those things were like dinged, they were banned. But I noticed that people started doing it months afterwards, after it kind of died down, and they didn't care. So I think they have kind of an algorithm even that's switching off and on key filter words and things like that. So that's why we're just so overly careful. You know, we still, I would have to say though, most all of you can get the message through, even though we have to do our stupid keywords and all this. Most all of you get exactly what we're saying. And usually we can show you the word on screen, so we're still communicating the same message, but the main goal is to grow. So
I'm reading your people as they type in the plasma. That's what Jeff Snyder thinks that this is. It's coming from underground.
Well, so there's so much in the works right now. I would say come back tomorrow as well to listen to the news we have. But on top of that, we are in the project in so many different projects right now. We want to expand on a lot of these projects, and we're trying to, bring more people on to do more projects. It takes a lot, though. It's really hard to find good help, and I'm being serious. Dex is amazing. I got so lucky to find him. He's basically been the only person that, I found that was just absolutely, it's just really hard to find good people that have to help you from out of state. You just don't know people anymore. So we have so many projects that we're doing. We have things that are going to come up. So I want you to stick around. And Kathy, I would love for you to kind of come back and let us know what else you find out next time.
Okay, well, Marf, I want to thank you for having a show where we can call in, and thank you, Dex. And you know what? I love it because more and more people every day are questioning and waking up, and it's time. It really is. It's time. If we want to save our country, it's time.
I think part of it is that almost once an episode, even if you're a skeptic, you'll watch a full episode through. Somebody will call in and say something that makes 100% sense in their brain. And they're like, that does make logical sense. And then little switches start turning, and then they stop having that, what do you call it? Cognitive dissonance, where you just can't get past what you've been taught your entire life. So thank you for calling in, Kathy. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Okay.
Well, thank you for your platform.
You're very welcome.
Very much.
It's people like you that make it good. All right. Bye-bye. I thought it was funny that the search for life in the universe, they always have like 5,000, 6,000 people in this chat. If you go to it, it's a channel with, I don't even know how many. Let's see here. It doesn't even show how many subscribers. They always have 8,000 people. They basically play like full movies there, which, by the way, I've gone over there. Just wanted to show you that. On top of this, I showed you this under fair use, but I don't think we've ever had a problem with anybody we've ever shown their channel here, because mostly people go over and subscribe, and they usually say thank you. The Final Days, 23,000 subscribers. It sounds like she puts up a lot of footages similar to some of the other folks that we're friends with. So I'm glad to meet you Final Days. If you ever want to call in or say hi, please do. If you do go over to their channel, please, say hi from the Foogle Fam. And then on top of that, this space and universe. The cool thing about that channel is there's always like 6,000 people in there, but it's not like this. If you want to see this many people in a chat and have, just complete randomness and no family, that's the chat you go to. All right, Colleen, you are live on Marfoogle TV. What's going on?
Hey, Mars, what's up?
So,
hey, how's that baby doing?
She is good. She is.
Yay!
I do have one thing that I'll say after this about my daughter that just first time dealing with. So good, but go ahead. So this is you've got Planet X photos and Riders of the Apocalypse. What the heck? Go ahead. Calling from Florida.
Yes, it's there you go.
So this is you gave me a link here. Let's see.
Hang on. I'm trying to get out of here so I don't hear you. Okay, there we go. All right. First off, if anyone knows the Bible, we have the black horse, red horse, green horse. Well, actually, it's a pale horse. In Hebrew, it is a ugly pale horse, which most people look at death. And then we have the white horse, right? Well, doing a lot of study and with a lot of other people, I just want to throw this out there that what did you say? Many people will be deceived and my people will be destroyed from lack of knowledge. Don't think this white horse is Jesus, because he gets a crown and it's not a crown of crowns. Remember how the Romans used to do their Olympics and they get this little things made of leaves and stuff? Well, I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, I gotcha.
So don't be deceived by the way. Don't be deceived by the white horse. And why would Jesus ride with a crew like that, right? Yeah. Okay. And then I can't see what you're doing, but the others are pictures of what year?
Go ahead.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're still waiting for you. Make sure to listen to the phone and not the TV show.
No, I got you off. I'm strictly on phone. Dex have the pictures up there.
I'm just showing the death, just a random picture for reference. Pale horse named Death.
Well, I sent some pictures through Discord of the sun being
so I've got all the
filtered.
pictures up. The first one is 9/24/2019.
Yeah.
And then they're bright lights. Now, where is this pointed?
Hang on, let me get back over here. Oh.
This is obviously towards the sky.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I?
Do you see where? Yeah.
Can I ask what kind of camera this is?
I don't know. I got this off of a friend of mine. But if you go through the pictures, you'll see that can't be a lens flare because it moves. It goes behind the sun. And
I see what you're saying. Well, what if it's brighter? If it is a lens flare, the sun or the moon is so bright that it shines through the flare.
Okay, what you're looking at now is up top is a closer look of a striped Well, if you look at top, it's striped. And then you're looking at something at the bottom that's not.
So you're saying that this might, I mean, that would be super clear. I mean, I get where you're saying it almost looks like a Jupiter type planet. But that would be kind of like straight up obvious. And I'll just give you my honest opinion. I could be very, very wrong. But I take a lot of pictures with a aperture. So like the lights behind me, if I even focus closer, they turn into big balls. So just to show you.
I understand that.
So like if you look now, that is kind of a pretty ball because of the aperture of the lens. So I'm not saying that that's what it is, but I just, to me, that's what it looks like. But I see a ton of them because I take a bunch of pictures.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they blew those up to look at it better.
I get you.
Okay.
So I know I see what you're saying. If that would, man, that would be a really clear picture of like straight up a planet the same size as the moon or the sun. Is that the moon or the sun?
No, actually they're really tiny, except for the blue one behind the sun.
I get you. See, right here, there's something right here, and it looks like a little hand. Looks like a mouse.
Yes. That's exactly. They're pointing what's happening. Like, yes, that is the striped.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I see what you're saying. That's definitely that looks like a very circular planet.
A gaseous planet, actually.
And then it's bigger here. So. Very strange.
No, it's just showing this not a lens flare because it moves behind the sun.
No, I these pictures are fascinating. It's crazy. There's like a mouse over here, and then since you redid the pictures, the mouse over there. That's cool. And then a mouse here, and then my mouse, and I don't even know which mouse is mousing anymore.
But yet you see the lens flare all the way to the right.
Yeah. Well, I thought it's not lens flare.
No, on the last picture.
Oh yeah.
Now you have. Yeah.
Yes. That, and now it's farther away. That's weird. Like it's different angle.
And look.
Well, I guess we showed the whole Foogle Fam, all 7 of the pictures, and then of course a lot of people end up looking at them, and then who knows, maybe 10 or 12 people could analyze this. Maybe there's a professional out there that could tell us exactly what it is. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. Is there anything else that you wanted to say other than showing us these beautiful pictures?
All I want to say is if you're out there looking, put something thermal on your telescope, and you'll probably see it.
I wish we had that. I wonder, I know I haven't seen John X Army do a lot of his stuff anymore, but he had all that cool gear. If you guys remember, he had all that awesome freaking telescope gear. I wish I had the gear that guy had. Those things are awesome.
Well, from what I understand, this Nemesis is a brown dwarf, so you're not going to see it because it's shooting off. You have to see it in thermal. You have to look at it in thermal.
Well, how about this? So to the Foogle family in Idaho and in Washington, if you guys have like the gear to do thermal or night scope or any telescope type thing where we can record it, I've got camera gear. I just don't have the telescope stuff. If you have something like that, make sure to reach out to us. Maybe I can drive out and we could do a video or something on the sky. Maybe we can camp out and make a night out of it. Have a barbecue and some marshmallows and mellow out with some marsh.
Marsh.
With marshmallows. Marshmallows. Mellow out with marshmallow with marshmallows.
This is in the middle of the day, though. Look at the timestamp.
I get you. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. Well, ma'am, we went twice past the time. I didn't want to cut you off or anything, so I appreciate you sending in our pictures, and we, take everybody's opinion all the same. So thank you so much, and much love goes out to you, and thank you for being loyal to the fam. And we will talk to you next time.
Sir.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Mark.
All right, bye-bye.
Right.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there. Okay. Hello, you were live on Marfoogle News. Truthing Trucker. What's going on?
What's up, Adam?
Hey, how are you? So
I'm good, man.
Let me pull up your card. It says here that you Nibiru and climate weather changes. Calling from Tennessee, 6:15. Boom. So what's going on with that?
That one girl was talking about the Nibiru and the climate, but I'm one of the believers that, we have people trying to manipulate the weather. But here the past couple of months, I've been kind of curious about if this Nibiru thing is for real, if maybe part of this weather modification is to try to counteract what that thing is doing, or if it's just, them being the menaces that they are.
Yeah,
that.
Go ahead.
I was up in Illinois. I don't know. It was like 2:00 in the morning yesterday morning, and I seen one of those big giant, meteorite, whatever it was, but it was like greenish blue, and that joker, it stayed lit up in the sky for a while. I mean, if I wasn't driving, I had time to get my phone and take a picture of it. It was so bright. And then today, I've been stuck up there all day.
What state was that? What state was that in? One more time.
Illinois. I was just. It was what the heck was the name of that place? Tinley Park, I think, just southwest of Chicago.
Let's see.
And they.
Keep going.
Oh, well, they've had some crazy storms all day today. And so I had to lay over up there. And the lightning, like during the day, was so bright. It was lighting up the cab of my truck. I had to shut my curtains just so I could sleep. But this evening, I couldn't get pictures of it because I was driving again. But it was like there was stuff in the lightning, like they were like some kind of round ball, and the lightning stayed in the sky so long, it was like it was tracking from one ball light to the other ball light. I don't know what the heck that was about, but it was a trip. But I finally drove out of it. Thank God. I was tired of driving in that crap. But it's just weird that that northern area of the country, your area, all the way across the northern part of the country is like that. Every time I go up there, Wisconsin, they have like the craziest lightning. They have those meteors, or like I said, whatever they are. They're not like the typical shooting star you see down south around Tennessee and Georgia.
Well, I'm actually
that area.
I'm at the Illinois website. I just kind of randomly typed in Illinois meteor, but it says action between the 21st and 27th. Well, this is actually from July 24th, this picture, and it is such a wild picture. I don't even know how the photographer got it. It has the reflection off the water, and I'm assuming that it was a long exposure just because the water looks so soft, but then again, it's got some movement, so it definitely was a long exposure because the water has the stars kind of moving. But man, it almost looks like a portal opening up. Like this was something like, I mean, this is real, like when the things that you see in the sky are just unbelievable. You can clearly see the Milky Way, and then you see this beautiful shooting star. I mean, some of the stuff, it's like, it's miraculous. I mean, it's just nuts that we see this stuff all the time, and we do our 9-to-5 jobs and grind away to get the next dollar, get them to the next goal. Look at the beauty of just right above us.
Yeah. Like I said, I've seen every sky from the southwest part of Texas all the way, draw a line straight up the country, all the way up into Iowa and Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and then everything east of that. But the north, man, I don't know what it is about the north, but they have all those. They're just huge. I mean, it's like a giant paintbrush going across the sky with luminescent light behind it. I don't ever see them that big, until I go up there. But every time I go to Chicago, I was going to Carroll Stream, Illinois, is where I was going. And every time up there on that toll road, without fail, I'll see one or two shooting stars, and then every now and then I'll see those big giant ones. I mean, they light up the entire sky, man. It's a trip.
I have the coolest picture up on screen. It's unbelievable. It's just crazy. This is a long exposure taken at night, probably in pitch black. It must have been a super, super long exposure to catch that much action. And it's amazing. And it was probably pitch black dark. In fact, those headlights, you can see the reflection of just the little light that's reflected off of things taking the picture. This is like probably a 40-minute, an hour photo, 2-hour photo. I don't know. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I will never forget one time.
Go ahead.
Well, when the 9/11 event happened and there was supposed to be no air traffic in the sky, my stepdad and I sat outside that night to count the airplanes, and man, we've seen so many shooting stars, meteor showers, and we'd stay up late and we would lay outside. We had like 10 acres back then when I was a kid, and we'd lay out in these patch of woods, and it had an open spot around these big oak trees, and man, it was wild because it was so dark out there. It was way out of the city. And, hundreds and hundreds, of shooting stars or whatever you want to call them, meteors. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool event. So I try to catch them. And now being on the road, I've seen several lunar eclipses being out here, shooting stars on a regular basis. But it's so hard to take pictures of this stuff because I'm driving. So I've been thinking about buying a GoPro and just mounting it on my dash and keep it rolling. But
yeah,
man, I hadn't called in a while.
So just to let you know, Trucker, what you should do, and this is what the guy did, and he's got a very successful YouTube channel, and all he does is he's on one of those container ships, and he goes from port to port all over the world, right? And he videotapes the sky, and he posts up and does these time lapses from the front or the bow of this huge boat. So you see him pulling up, and they'll unload all the containers, and it's this huge ship. So not only do you see the storms form, you see all the crazy things, and he basically did these time lapses of 30 days at a time. So it's a 30-day time lapse. He just sets up the camera all in one place and takes a photo like every whatever. You could actually set that up on your truck, on the front of your truck, like almost like a hood emblem, and then get the sky. Right. I know you see it driving across the country. You see some of the coolest skies, sunsets, everything. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I've tried to get in the Discord so I could post some of those pictures in there because I have, man, thousands of pictures. My wife tells me I went from being a drug addict to a sky addict. There's my laptop is so full of sky pictures from all over the country. But yeah, like you said, I see all kinds of stuff out here. Sometimes I actually get out somewhere where there's no street lights, and it's amazing just how how big the sky is. People say the sky's real big in Texas, but it's real big in Wyoming too.
Well,
Wyoming, Wisconsin. It's
oh, huge, yeah, and no light, so you can see everything. Well, thank you, Trucker, and I appreciate you calling in. And please call in again and let us know if you end up doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, you have a great night, Trucker, and please call in again.
Oh yeah, man, I will.
All right. Good night. Let's see here. I think that would be cool. I mean, if somebody did a time lapse, a long-term time lapse of, say, across the country, and it doesn't even have to be, like the thing about that ship is the ship doesn't travel fast, right? So he can take a picture once every 3 hours, over 30 days, and it will make a good, 5-minute, 10-minute thing. If you're truck driving, you can't really, he could literally set it up to take some amazing photos. Because when you're driving across the country, not only do you see the craziest sunsets, but you see the craziest scenery. There's some beautiful places in the United States. Let's see here. Do we have Dex? Are you there?
Hey, Adam, we're done. We ran out of time. We're all good.
Okay. Well, what do you think about all this? Planet X, all of it.
We got a lot of good content from everybody today. Lots of things to think about, lots of conversations to be had, lots of questions to be asked. So yeah, it was really good. The callers were great. I really appreciate everybody that made it through, and those of you that didn't, try tomorrow night, get you in.
Yeah, so normally what we do is we kind of guarantee you first or second spot if you waited. So that's something that you always have. Let's see here. So yeah, just a great show overall. As you guys probably know, somebody asked, "Oh, what did my kid do?" Oh, no, I was going to say, so my newborn has had something that I never had with my other two kids. My other kid's 13 and 4. She has an Audi, but she's a baby. She's a newborn. And when she gets like bloated or whatever, her Audi is so far out and it's squishy. It's so weird. And it's totally normal. I guess 20% of babies have an Audi. But what happens is it's a, what do you call it? The umbilical hernia. So it's basically her intestines are in her belly button bubble thing. And it's just, bleh. It's very cute, but man, if you like push on it, it's literally like pushing the intestines back in. I don't know if you guys some of you might know about what I'm talking about. So, we're going to go to her, a second doctor appointment and make sure that like it's all good. But most of the time, I guess it's totally normal. And that's what an Audi is. And when they're little like that, it's just crazy. So anyways, I've never experienced that with my other two daughters. So just thought that was weird. So that's what I was saying, I've never experienced before. Well, thank you guys for all coming. It was, like I said, this show is not going to be anything compared to tomorrow night's show. We believe we have something that, who knows? We might have a lot of people sharing this. We might have a lot of people saying, "Oh my gosh, why didn't we see that before?" So make sure to be there tomorrow. I think that a lot of people are going to be kind of like, that's freaky, that's scary. It might just really send chills down your back. Like, this is not a thumbnail send chills, like it's real chills down your spine. So thank you, Dex. I love you. And now it's time for me to officially make a fool out of myself. It's not an outro. It's not a shoutro. I screwed it up. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. I messed up my own shoutro. I don't know if you guys can tell. I look like a zombie now. Violet has been up for the last 3 nights. So it's just been crazy. But we keep going. We keep it going. Have a great night. Be safe. Be prepared. And Marf out. The show must go on. The show must go on. I've got the Planet 9. I've got the Francisco Bandera, and he is mine. And Roger Cunningham, bringing it damn, oh damn. Rebel Snarfle and the rest of the Clan Mama and Blue Lighting and Michael Raleigh and the Jiting. Come right down, now we writing with Sean and Duke Raoul. And yes, it's Laura Hall and the rest of the Drool. Barefoot Last JP and Tiffany Desiree. Got that Stephen Diaz. Anita Torres and Jeff Davis had a baby and it's awakened by a William Seracon and a Monica Campbell. Randy Simmons and Strato Concha. Tony Higginson and the J. Stone Riker. I think it's my nose. I think it's my nose. My nose. Let's turn down the lows. I think it's my nose. I think it's my lows. I think it's my stuffed ass snows. I might have got sick at the Plague Factory, aka the mall. And we say, wow, flying cow, Bonnie Mullen now, Linda Kirby. Don't you see Tennessee, G, A-O-D, B-O-D, Rampage. End it with an E, and maybe a Mandy Choyinski. Heaven Bound 813, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Who Flung Dung and Kappa Chow and Capta Pan Pat. Who knows? Who knows? Marv out. The dawn of organized truth loves you. And Shastina and Big Bugs all want to be friends with all of you. Raw adds a little power coming back around you, doll. And we might bring you back. No, we never brought. I don't know if any of you noticed, but I fixed the squeaking in the chair. I did it with a very special product. Even cheaper than WD-40. It's called Leo Evolovio. It's olive oil backwards. Jack monkeys. And make sure to check out marfooglenews.com, where we have archived all of these beautiful stories and made them available for you. Why you caring? Why you sharing? I did air carries. Hey, Susan Big, I love you. Lisa R. Hall, Robin M. Broken Compass heading towards disaster, and Scan Family. Let's kick it. Let's kick it. I just want to bring that clown down all the way, right down. Spicy love. What's up, Danger Jr., Able Body, Jennifer Peters, Cryptic 21 Bravo, Beyond Ascension, and the rest of the Marfoogle family.
Shuffle, shuffle, slide. Shuffle, shuffle, slide. All night. Alfred Phillips.
No hint for tomorrow. All we can tell you is that we are going to blast out. Tomorrow will be unbelievable. Nothing you have ever thought will be the same. Nothing will be the same ever again. Because Mimi and the CC will be Kathleen Beeves all the way down to the CC. Yes, that's right.
Got stuck on my chair. I bring it back and I'm here. Just might get it back. Just might bring it down. Now my song is around. I just want you now to be friendly to each other. Not gonna apologize for some other guy. That's not my place here. I'm here to bring it together, cause we are friends, we the Marfoogle family. Don't you ever know that we've got that strongest compass, baby on the rocket, and the rampage, Chrissy Love Godspeed, right by that JM. And the Teresa K and the CJ plays. See, Lisa, all the way down. You know that we be tripping, trippy, me, Cindy, laughing. Why you laughing? White hair coming down on white tail. Trinity, red pill or blue pill, doesn't matter what you take. Hot or from it the frog here. Anita, no tears. Anita Torres, no fear. Maybe gotta say, hey, with my red night. Thomas, almost to 1,000. Go check her out. Got a PG-19, 1093. Gotta go right now. Gotta give a Glen. Gotta bring it right back down since when?
MG Tell Forever. MG Tell Forever was late. So for the 1,700 people still here, just to let you know, I had to stop the music. Yeah, because MG Tell Forever made it for the shoutro. Apparently, none of our time matters. It's totally fine, MG Tell. I made it for the shoutro. Oh, so we just get to say your name then, I guess. Yeah? Well, I'm not going to say it this show. I'm not even going to say your name. Oh, I said his name?
Listen to the voices ring inside your head telling
I was
you this
trying not to.
Best move. See, I seen all these fools trying to steal my direction and these gold diggers digging on my gold. I've been on this block since all the pops was in the yard and I never seen.
You know it wouldn't be a show without Just Watch How I Do It. Yeah.
I've got the Teresa K, the nemesis, a lunatic, Randy Newman, and that Anita Torres. I have Mama Tonics on the May, Wendell will be keeper. Driving on that road of unknown knowledge. Tell me what you call it. I've got that Brenda SFK. I've got that RJL and that rhymes with K. I've got that London, got that Robin, got that Laura Howard. Got that Cindy, got that Brian Bold, and it with Griffin. I've got that Clan Mama, bring it down, yes mama. Richard Barber, I'm so boring, I got a score undefeated. I'm gonna get it whole encore. Encore. Who's wrong dong? I have no idea. Ron White and the RJL sitting right here. Mary Sharp isn't sharp. But Rampage is a little more Ellis than Robert is. Don't be running next to a dove. And don't be leaning next to Gene and Lana. Don't be kitty cat right next to scaredy cat. And don't be hanging next to Jay Lebowski without Domowski. A silver star. Lisa K never say nothing about Alfred. Phillips, that is. And Trinity. What's a fish say? Hey, Joan Henderson and Old Man Ick. Hey, JD Forney, do you like fish sticks? You can finish that fish sticks joke. No joke. Casual preparedness and CJ Blaze had a baby. Spud Ruckus was his name. Everybody loves blue-collared art. But they would be nothing without that Dex beautiful J. That Bex, and now I say, I've got the Trinity, and they know it. I've got French toast on some name, whatever. I just might be busting up the weather. Weather control, that is. They be killing it, Trish killing. Bring it back down, now you know Susan Big is too big for the breast of the beer. I'm about to bring down. It's all about that cherry jar. A cherry bottle. You know what time it is. It's about the last time song time now. You know what time it is, man. If you got that no blaze 'em, then you go and then no blaze 'em. Doesn't matter. Go out on your porch, don't get it around the other kids. You know it's about time that we go take a trip down to London. London, man.
got a star 63. Yeah, man. Got a Anita Torres. Yeah, man. Got a yeah, man. Got a Stella Seattle. Got a Rampage and a Run the hell I got a spicy love. 4 Siamese for me, Cappy Chow. Letitia Stall and the rest of the cows. Flying cow might have left, but we get it rest. And now I've gotta go get me rest. I'm gonna go to sleep. And ding ding with the Jeep. Whoa, heaven bound 813. Do that Carlton, hell no G. I'm out to do the Deborah Clark. Love me a Bonnie, bowling with the Jean Blight. Now I gotta go double park. That's right. Corny Dex, LOL. I guess that means you're laughing out loud of laughing. Now remember, man, the Susan and the Letitia Story, you're so welcome here. Andrea Little and Tyler, the running dove, don't be running shove. The Shastina, oh don't be meaner. Then I'll be at 10 and 93, and I'll be on the Sentinel now the key. The Victoria Marquis. Everybody knows you're the best. The Stephen Diaz. Everyone knows that you're the best. Everybody knows the best now. Everyone's all the same. We equals. We could be equals for all days. We beat knows and now everybody knows. For Pete's sake, repeat knows. We repeat no. Secret I'ma leave no. Wow. Just to let you guys know, it looks like the super chat's just processed. This is so stupid. Tony Higginson, love and to the Marfoogle Fam. Love, Mom. Wow, what an awkward place for the song to stop. Welcome, Gsaw1211, Mr. Thomas, Floyd, and then a bunch of letters I cannot read. Thank you for subscribing. William Domstrand, thank you for the $2 super chat. Timber Lab, God is great. Marf, your information, puzzle pieces fall together nicely. Thanks, and keep up the great work and show. J.R. Higgins, Pale Horse, thank you for the $5 super chat. Mark Sketch, thank you for the £5. Regarding the small black hole thing, I've been told many times that size isn't important. I have two. Don't worry, Mark. I'ma be what I'ma be. That's a small black hole joke. J.R. Higgins, Pale Horse, thank you for coming. Susan Donahue, I'm sorry I did not see you in the beginning. When the sky rolls up like a screen, all will be revealed. Central Florida Prepper, thank you for being here night after night. Connect the dots, bro. You've got a great analytical mind. With that being said, thank you Stephen Katz, Regina Baby, T. Fisher, Neil Nelson, Toki1 for all subscribing during the show. Amy Canny, Couple for Life, Keeper of Strays, Hippie Evasive Cheetah, I love you all. Now we jump out, man. I don't need the extra tension, cause I'm in the fourth dimension. Trapeze high in suspension. Now don't bother with the haters, cause they all be imitators. Real life manipulators. Get it back up and see you later. It looks like under alien control, we will make sure to get you in tomorrow. I'ma be what I'ma be. I like me for me. I am who I wanna be. Don't need no apologies, just peace and serenity. To the jealousy, Wonder Woman identity. I like me for me. I like me for me. London says the black hole is God's vacuum. Gotta prove it to myself and nobody else. Gotta prove it to myself and
like me for me. I'ma be what I'ma be. I like me for me. I am who I wanna be. I like me for me. I'ma be what I'ma be. I like me for me. I am who I wanna be. Don't need no apologies, just peace and serenity. No to the jealousy, Wonder Woman identity. I like me for me. I like me for me. Gotta prove it to myself. I like nobody. Gotta prove it to myself. I like nobody. Gotta prove it to myself. I like nobody. Gotta prove it to myself. I like me for me.
Love you guys. Have a great day, great night, and good morning in case I don't see you again.